we are going to learn means what is the SPFX. SPFX means the SharePoint Framework. So what is the SPFX and uh, SPFX Framework? Then why SPFX Framework? What are the main features in SPFX? SPFX Toolchain. Then their execution life cycle of SPFX. This thing we'll discuss in this today's session. So earlier means whenever we earlier the development pattern of the SharePoint 2007 to SharePoint Online, it came across the different evaluation process. Okay, so earlier there was the server side development only. After that, in SharePoint 2010, Microsoft come up with the SharePoint client side development. So these are the gradually evaluation processes there. So in next slide, just a minute. So in this slide you can see SharePoint development evaluation. Okay, so here if you can see, let me start the marker. Okay, so here you can see this is the MOS 2007 environment. We have in the first session of a SharePoint. At that time we learn means what are the different versions of a SharePoint and what how it developed SharePoint from MOS 2007 to SharePoint Online. So in a SharePoint MOS 2007, which is called SharePoint 2007 as well. In that, at that time, we use the full trust solution. Means there are two kind of there is only one solution or full trust solution, which is called as a farm solution, which is called as a farm solution. Okay, so at that time there is a farm solution. Means that one is a totally built on the server side. Okay, this is a server side solution, and it means there is no usage of the client side. For each and every request goes to the server, then we got the response. Okay, after that gradually they come up with the SharePoint 2010. So SharePoint 2010 come up with the sandbox and the CSOM. CSOM means the client side object model. Okay, so CSOM means client side object model. Okay, so this is the CSOM client side object model, and here we develop the solution in two different way, that is the farm and sandbox solution. Okay, sandbox solution. So this is the evaluation process from MOS. Earlier there was no client side solution, but in SharePoint 2010 they added the that scope. Okay, so after that you can see farm and sandbox solution. Farm and sandbox solution. Earlier there was only the farm solution in 2007, but 2010 they come up with the farm and sandbox solution. The farm solution means solution is for entire farm, means entire SharePoint the solution will be applicable. Means any website user can access that solution. Okay, if means the solution will applicable, the scope of a solution is applicable for entire SharePoint or entire SharePoint tenant. Okay, at that time there was a premises versions are there, SharePoint Online was not there, but now we are using the SharePoint Online. Now the concept like a SharePoint farm solution and sandbox solution, here spelling mistake was there, prime, so FARM farm solution and sandbox solution. Sandbox solution is dedicatedly for the particular site. Sandbox solution is dedicatedly for the particular specific site, and farm solution applicable for entire SharePoint. Farm is entire site, subset and everyone. After that there is the client side object model. So client side object model, which is the new evaluation in SharePoint 2010. In that we write the code, means all the process happen in client side, and when we say context.execute query, it send the request to the server and we get the required response, and we work out on that response. So this is the process. Okay, in the PNP PowerShell script also we learn that what is the CSOM. At that time it connect with the client.svc web service and it send the response to us. So for that purpose we use the client side object model in SharePoint .NET. So client side object model started in the SharePoint 2010. After that, here in a 2013, this one is also premises, but gradually it's moving onto the cloud. From SharePoint 2013, it started Microsoft started working to move the application means SharePoint into the online. Okay, so here you can see here app add-ins are there. Okay, provided hosted app. Okay, then add-ins there are hosted app, provided hosted app. So this kind, or SharePoint hosted app, so this kind of app are developed in 2013. Okay, so those are for a premises, means the SharePoint 2013 was in on a premises. So the app model means they introduce the app model here. They introduce what they introduce here, app model in a SharePoint 2013. They introduced the app model in that app add-in. So for that purpose, whenever we are in SharePoint, whenever we click on new, there is app option is there, means they treat everything as an app, like in a mobile application. Now year 2016 onwards, everything is moving to the cloud. You can see everything is a cloud friendly SPFX. Okay, 2016 onwards, means 2016 they just launched, but now they SPFX is widely used in an industry. Okay, if the means see, this is SPFX. It started in a 2016, and this is to there are SharePoint Online is a cloud version 2016, 2019. Those are the on-premises version. But now the trend is everyone like to work on the cloud versions, because in a on a premises there are many expenses. I manage the server, then network and all those things. So it's a better to move everything on the cloud. That's why the beauty of the cloud, the SPFX for SharePoint Online is widely used. In the SPFX is also SPFX is a used. So what is the SPFX? Why SPFX? We see gradually. So you understand that how the development are happening gradually. Microsoft changed their pattern of a development. Earlier sandbox solution, earlier farm solution, then farm solution and sandbox solution, then client object model, then app model, and then they move into the cloud. And in the cloud they use the SPFX SharePoint framework. So as of now, we saw that we learned the power apps. In power apps, we created app, then power automate, we create the flow, then PNP power script. Also we create the different out of box feature, use the out of box features, list, view, permission and everything. Okay, but now the things those are not possible in a power apps or power automate. Those are shifted in or developed in a SPFX. Those are developed in a SPFX. If you think that this is not possible to implement in a power apps, or there are some critical work, okay, there are functionality will not be get done in the power apps. So what you do, you need to move into the SPFX. Okay, SPFX is the totally coding base, means we need to write the code in that. So code will be in a TypeScript, or you can write in JavaScript. Also you can write in Angular, Knockout, React.js. Okay, so generally people prefer to write the code in React.js and TypeScript. So moving ahead, why SPFX? Okay, so earlier we are using the hosted app, provided hosted app. Now why SPFX? So in SPFX it uses, just a minute. Okay, so in SPFX support the modern tool chain, include Node.js, npm, yeoman, gulp, TypeScript. Okay, so this is the tool chain. Okay, so while writing the code in SPFX, we need to go with this tool chain. Okay, means there are different steps while implementing the SPFX. So in normal Visual Studio coding, we write the C# server side code. In that Visual Studio is the integrated development environment ID, it contains everything. Okay, they manage everything for us. Okay, so but in this the trend is bit different to in our traditional way of development. We have is there. Okay, for there. Okay, then through the Visual Studio we manage the package and all those things are there. So how it will perform through this development tool chain, we'll see one by one. Okay, so in this we can consume the REST API classes to communicate with the SharePoint data. So this is the beauty in that we directly write the REST API classes to communicate the SharePoint data. So REST API means at the end we use the CSOM client side object model and connect the web services, and we work on the SharePoint data. Means there are different kind of a data like SharePoint list data, library data, permission related thing, or user profile related thing, anything, any kind of thing will interact using the REST API classes. Okay, so moving ahead, SPFX supports SharePoint Online as well as SharePoint on premises. Okay, whether you have the SharePoint Online or SharePoint on premises, no need to worry. If your solution is the develop or design in SPFX, you can deploy it at on any server, whether it's premises or uh, online. Means it's like app, like our mobile app. What we do, we keep our app on Play Store, and from there people will download. Same way in SPFX, our solution will be designed, developed, and it will be kept into the app catalog. From app catalog, whoever required, they will directly take that app from the app catalog. So we'll see gradually what is the app catalog and all. Okay, so after that, SharePoint 2016 features pack 2 is required for the SharePoint 2016 on-premises server. Okay, so for SPFX solution for SharePoint 2016, there is a feature pack 2 is required. Okay, for SPFX development, but our main intention is the SharePoint Online. SPFX is supported out of box. SPFX is supported out of box for SharePoint 2019 on-premises server. Okay, so this SPFX is also supported to the on-premises SharePoint 2019 version. Out-of-box features also it support. SPFX does purely client-side rendering. So as I have told you, client-side object model is the purely used. There is no usage of the server side. One more thing, we use the open source technology like JavaScript, AngularJS, React.js, Knockout.js, this thing in that. So no need to means there is a huge resources available online while working and developing on the code. Okay, because these are the open source technology. So to, and also one more thing, earlier when we work on a C# or that, at that time we require the licensing of our Visual Studio. Okay, Visual Studio, but now Visual Code is there. In Visual Code, that is one is the freeware, and in that we can write the open source coding, JavaScript or AngularJS and Knockout.js, React.js. So it will not require the licensing. So anyone can start working without any licensing on the SPFX. Okay, no additional license will require, because Visual Studio is also, Visual Code is also freeware. So it's a purely client side rendering. As you know, server side rendering, for server side rendering it increase the load on the server, but for client side, individual person working on a client side means all the functional things perform at a client side and then requesting to the server, and we get the response. So everything is happen client side, rendering is happen at a client side only. So major scope of SPFX, it's totally for the client side development. It work because the trend is everything is moving towards the client side now, because the server, to reduce the load on a server. So it work all operating system like Windows and Mac OS. Okay, so generally we prefer to use the Windows OS only. Not depends on a JavaScript injection, not depends on a JavaScript injection. So earlier what happened, earlier in we are using the content editor web part. Okay, content editor web part, or we write the code inside the script inside the page. Okay, in a placeholder, the placeholder main we read earlier, means earlier way of development in that content editor web part. There are different web part, out of box web part, you know, the whenever we open the page, edit page, then there are different web part. But earlier there is a content editor web part was there. In that we directly write the JavaScript. Okay, means what happened? There is the page, and we can directly write the JavaScript in that page. So in that web part, and means what is this is called JavaScript injection. Means my while loading my page, I inject my JavaScript in my page. So in SPFX that is not a case. So JavaScript injection is not there. So SPFX framework, JavaScript injection is avoided, and also in SharePoint Online, content editor web part is not there. So Microsoft is not referring to the JavaScript injection. Means JavaScript injection means while your page is loading, okay, in that you can inject your JavaScript code on a page through the content editor web part. Okay, but now it's not possible. SPFX does not use the iframe to render live in case add-in model. Okay, does not use an iframe to render live. See, if you are using the iframe, so iframe means that is a particular uh, web part or particular square. Within that you need to work out. If you write the SPFX code, you can work out on entire page, whether this is a classic mode page or modern page. You will get the scope to access all the properties of a page. But in the iframe we have restricted part. Within that you need to work out. Okay, so in SPFX we can means utilize entire page while working. Okay, now moving ahead. Okay, now we see the SPFX toolchain. Okay, so many of you install the Node.js, then install npm command, gulp, TypeScript, Yeoman. Okay, so here you can see Node.js, npm. So they, what are these things? So these are the earlier development way of development. Means earlier like this way we use the IIS, then .NET framework, NuGet, MS Build, C Sharp, and Visual Studio. Okay, so these things are all these things implemented in the Visual Studio. Okay, everything is performed in a Visual Studio, but the Visual Studio is not there now. Okay, and Visual Studio required license, but here what we are doing, we are using the Visual Code. But while writing the code in SPFX, what they prefer, see, .NET framework, IIS, all those features will require C Sharp, .NET, and all licensing will require. But now to make it a more freeware, or see, if I know the C Sharp, then only I can work with the SharePoint. But the thing is that I know the JavaScript, I know the Node.js, I know the React.js, I can start work on a SharePoint. Okay, because huge crowd in the market, they know these open source technology. To attract them towards the SharePoint, so SPFX is really beautiful. Okay, that's why Microsoft is preferring the more preferring to the SPFX solution. Okay, so here this is the tool chain. While installing, first of all we install the Node.js, then npm package manager, then gulp to build our solution, then TypeScript is the scripting language we use. Instead of a C Sharp we use the TypeScript here, and Yeoman, it create your template, web part template, or whatever the type of template you want to create, it create. So build ms build gulp to building the solution. Here ms build you use to create DLL and deploy your solution to WSP and all, but here gulp is used to create your solution package. Here NuGet, earlier we use the NuGet to install the things, install the new plugins and all, but here we use the npm install command we use, and we install the different packages. And Node, so here earlier to host your solution, here IIS is used. Okay, but here Node.js is used. It's simply like the IIS. Okay, so we go ahead in SPFX toolchain and we'll see one by one what is the meaning of each module in that. So these SPFX toolchain is a very important. Interviewer asks you this: what is the Node.js? what is the npm, what is the gulp, what is the yeoman. These things will ask, commonly ask. Okay, so let's see one by one. So tool chain. Okay, so in a tool chain, first is the node. What is the node? So it is just your development server like IIS. It is a platform for build and run application. After installing it, you won't really have to touch it. Means it's a first step. This is the first step. Not you need to install node every time. Okay, so this is the first step. Node.js is the first step. In that, what you will do, what we do, Node.js. So it's like a IIS server. In our earlier we use the IIS. Okay, Internet Information Service. So in that, what we do, which is the build and run the application. Okay, is a platform for build and run the application. Okay, so Node.js is a platform on which we build and run the application. This is just a platform. On that means it creates the platform on which we start working on it. Okay, which is called as Node.js, nothing other than it. It's like IIS, which is used to host our application and all. Means whenever we start working, we require the Node.js for that. On that platform we start working or building our application. So while building, there are different stages to create our package. So this is a gulp. Okay, it provide automated build task, compile, clean and rebuild, that Visual Studio used to do for us. Here Visual Code, I mean Visual Code, but here I have written Visual Studio. Okay, Visual Code. Okay, so gulp. So gulp means, gulp, what gulp do? It build your code. It built our code. And see, gulp has a built-in commands you will use, and you can also create your own build tasks as well. Gulp automatic SPFX development and deployment task. Okay, so what happened means, to create the final solution, which will be finally move into the SharePoint, that role performed by the gulp. Okay, so gulp, we use the command for gulp, and through which we gulp serve and all that command we use, through which what we do, we create our final package. Okay, to deploy it on SharePoint. Okay, so this is the purpose of the gulp. Gulp automate SPFX development and deployment tasks. But what happened? We are using the Visual Code. Visual Code will do those things. Okay, so no need to initially. We have basically Hello World application, SPFX Hello World application. So in that application, we use that application through command prompt. We write the command and all. So node gulp command, gulp serve, then npm install package, install the package, and yeoman, and means all those commands we pass. So why? You understand how the execution, how the application actually execute. But whenever you are in Visual Code, no need to worry about it. Visual Code will take care about it. So node package manager, node package manager, node package manager for the JavaScript maintain online repository to install the package. So like we know that we use the CSOM object model in that Microsoft.SharePoint.client.dll. So that is one library. We download that library, or we install the SharePoint uh, client side EMS or means a package. So same way, whatever the package for our solution will require, those will install online. Means what we do, we'll say node hyphen install and we give the package name. So it will automatically npm node package manager. No need to worry about where that package is stored online and all. You just write the package name, it will do their task and it will install the things, and your package will be in your solution file. There is a node hyphen node underscore modules folder is there. In that package will be there. Okay, so that's why we use the node package manager. So what it will do, whatever the package Microsoft packages are there, no npm will take care and install your packages in your solution. Okay, and that packages will require in your solution whenever we deploy it on SharePoint. Then part is the yeoman. as you know that if you have used having work experience on Visual Studio, when you say create web part or create any website or web page, Visual Studio automatically create the structure. Okay, automatically create the structure for your solution. For left side Visual Studio will create the structure like project, then files and all, right? Then sub files, image, source, means different modules are there. So this structure will created by the who create the that structure in Visual Studio. It will automatically it was created. Same way in SPFX, human play the role, create the folder structure, create the file structure, and also it create the template, proper template. What things are where to put, those things are managed by the human. So means see, whenever you start working on a visual code, or whenever you use start working on basic code, you see that there is a proper folder structure has been created. Okay, but who created that? Then human created. See, generator framework to provide scaffolding of a client side web part project similar to the project template in a Visual Studio. So there is a scaffolding word is very important here. Scaffolding for a client side web part project. So whenever you say client side web part, so what kind of a template and structure needs to be there of our files code, and what kind of a related code needs to be there in that file, it will manage by the human. So these are the different tool chain we use while developing the SPFX, and based on that we create our final solution, and which will be deployed into the SharePoint. Okay, so first thing is node, gulf, npm and human. These four things are really important, so you need to keep understand the meaning. And there is a common question everywhere: what are the different tool chain, or what are the different things related to the SPFX? So you need to tell these four things, and those are very important. So next thing, okay, so next thing is a SPFX execution model. Okay, means how exactly SPFX work. Okay, so if you have worked on the initial SPFX solution, SPFX uh, means hello world program, or hello world code. Okay, so in that you understand the stages, but how it exactly works. So see here you can see npm install -g. So node package manager, it install the related package, that is the generator -SharePoint. It's saying that I want to create the SharePoint solution. Okay, so first we install that the SharePoint. So first we install SharePoint generator through the npm. So npm it will connect online. Okay, and it will install the respective package, download that package in your desktop and install it. Okay, no need to worry about it. npm will take care about it. There is a node package manager, and where all those things happen, all these entire things happen on a node is a platform. So node.js is a platform on which everything is happen on a node.js platform, which is the platform. So I write here node.js platform. Okay, node.js platform is there, and in that we what we do here in a node.js platform, here npm install Microsoft generator. Okay, npm will take care to install the Microsoft generator. After that, the part of you, as I told you, human will do the scaffolding role. Scaffolding SharePoint web part project, it create the structure for the SharePoint folder structure and all, whatever the required thing, it will manage and define the structure for that using the human. Okay, human Microsoft SharePoint. Okay, I'm saying that I want to create the SharePoint web part project. Okay, and it will do their tasks. Then next thing is build web part. Okay, so build web part. So finally what we do our gulf serve. Okay, gulf take care of the building the web part. Okay, so gulf what it will do, it create your web part and package. Okay, and that will be move into the SharePoint. Or if you are testing or doing testing, then where you test, it's on a workbench, local workbench. We'll see that local workbench whenever we are in development. We'll understand the local workbench and how it works. See here, build web part. See here, gulp serve is here, they given the gulp serve name here. Test, see here, local workbench. So we do the gulp serve, means it create the final package. So this is my package, consider this is my package, it contain all those things. Okay, this is my package. And then where I tested that a package in a local workbench, it will open in a browser, and there's a local host, something URL is there, and there I test my web part, where I test my web part, how it's look and all. Okay, in a local workbench. After that, if UAT pre-production, means before we move it on a production, we test it, means whether it's working fine, solution is working fine or not. If the solution is working fine, ship means move, ship means move. If the user will say the solution you have developed is perfect and fine, okay, we test it on a local share, install it on our SharePoint dev environment, development environment, or you can say testing environment. And then finally this is the separate this is a separate environment from this part, which is called as production environment, uh, or see, this is a pre-prod or UAT or testing. Okay, pre-prod UAT means user acceptance test. What is the meaning of this UAT? User acceptance, okay, testing, user acceptance testing, or pre-production. User means for whom you are developing your solution. If user say it's a fine, then if it will say no, there are some changes, then it's a again stop, and again we need to start rebuilding our code and all. Okay, so here you can see, if user will agree, then we move it into the, again we move it, this package. Here we say that this is say production, a production tenant in our tenant, I can say. And here you can see again gulp package solution package, we need to deploy gulp upload CDN. In case in your solution we have used, it will convert the JavaScript into the CDN file. You know the what is the meaning of CDN. Package deploy, manually uploadation of package, release using the app catalog. We deploy it on a app catalog, available on a classic client side, available on classic and client side pages. Okay, so what it means by classic and client means classic and modern pages, your web part will be available whenever it move in. But the thing is that whenever we move into the UAT, there is one test site, okay, or test tenant is there. In that we test the application and highlight the user. If user will agree, then we move the solution in a production tenant, okay, or a production app catalog. There are two tenants. One is consider if the organization having two tenant, okay, tenant, here I can say this tenant, okay, and I name this tenant as, consider I rename this tenant here. This tenant is test development, or you can say UAT, okay, or pre-prod. So these are the different name. Pre-prod means pre-production, before means this part. So this part is a testing tenant, and this is a production tenant, okay, or live tenant. So if the solution is okay in a pre-prod, sometimes what happen, there is only one tenant, okay, and there is one separate site. In that we test, put in an app catalog, and in that we test in a different site, and if we agree, then we move into the our live site, but in the same tenant. But some cases there are two different tenants. So this is the way, like this way we develop our SPFX solution using the node. There are different toolchain, node.js, then npm, gulp, yo. So this thing, yo means human, so this thing you need to understand, you need to, you should have the detailed information about it. Also you need to understand the execution model of SPFX, how what are the steps, npm install, then yo, then gulf, then how workbench, then how it will move into the production. These are the steps. So these are the common things frequently will ask. So we stop here. This is the introduction about the SPFX. In next session what we do, we'll see the how we can develop our solution. We stop here. Thank you.